Infinite ammo.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Ammo Syndicate European podcast for the top 5 best and worst developers / publishers. Starting with me, I am Mr. Bane for you. Gonna go down the list here. We got Shadow.
Oh, I'm not the only Shadow today. Hello, everybody. Yes. Yay!
It's a lot easier this time.
Do you want me to change it to Shadow Kick or something? No, just kidding.
No.
I don't like his.
Stop it!
Speaking of kicks, the Sonic kick?
Yeah, hey. I'm
That's
technically
right.
not even European, but I act
Neither am
European.
I. Yeah,
I act European, mate.
it kind of dragged me in here with this.
We need all the hands we can get. Us Americans need to help out the filthy Europeans. Just kidding.
Hey, this is trying to avoid some Article 13 stuff here. We then have another actual European, Suicidal Llama.
Hey, oh, that's me. Hello, I'm Llama.
Yep. And then, of course, we got our leader, Renegade Operative.
I'm tired, kill me, so I'm gonna just wing it here. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
You said to bring a hungover guy to host. That's a great idea.
Yeah, we got a hungover guy, a guy that's super tired, a furry, and 2 Europeans, so let's do this.
I'm not a furry, by the way.
I'm just fucking with you.
I know, don't worry about it.
I think we're gonna start this off in the order of worst and then best. So I'm gonna start off with my 5th worst, the least worst out of the worst. EA. I've got a reason for EA being 5th here. So for every good game they do, they fuck something up hardcore. I don't think I need to say too much about a lot of their games. Battlefield 5 being their worst one currently. But I'm gonna let everybody else take the wheels for this one.
With EA, they're just sort of, you expect them to be bad, so it's just you're not really disappointed by them anymore.
You get excited when they do something good, and then you get pissed when they do something that's usually them.
Yeah, you expect them to be like that, exactly.
Yeah, I have not seen anything good from them in a very long time.
I'll give them the fact they remastered Burnout Paradise, although they should have just made a new Burnout game.
With EA, it always strikes me as they're like the typical example of a greedy game dev publisher, you know. It just that's why you expect it. They're like, oh yeah, we're talking about greedy companies. Then yeah, EA, of course.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with them getting voted worst company of America, like however many years in a row, it's not because they're the literal worst, like even game publisher. It's just what they represent. They represent pretty much everything wrong with the industry. Because if there's something wrong with the game industry, they're probably going to be doing it.
Oh yeah. Anybody else? Their 5th worst?
I just wanted to say, I thought it was funny that EA is actually making a good decision with their EA Creators Program, but it works against them because with The Way Out, they don't make a single dime on that game, and that guy managed to make his game, put it out there, and apparently it has free co-op. So that is a move that EA would never commission under their authority. So I find that pretty hilarious and ironic that that guy got away with that shit.
It was more. I think when I played A Way Out, it was one of my favorite EA games that they ever released, and the fact that the money didn't go to EA, I was like, fuck yes.
That is super puzzling, but my mind was like, okay, I'm all for this because I don't have to pay them a single dime if that's the case.
I hope they hire that dude, honestly. Like, have that studio make more games for him.
Okay.
Apparently that game was really good.
Him saying fuck the Oscars, I'm just gonna say that was the greatest moment ever when he did that last Game Awards, so just saying, that was great.
A little tease for next award. He's gonna be there giving him a mic again.
Give him a mic again, please.
Hopefully we get fuck the Emmys, fuck the AMAs, fuck every award show. Fuck the streamies, especially. That's a different story.
Oh yeah.
All right, Bane. So your next one.
Oh, I gave the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What about you, Ren?
Okay. So for me, I guess obviously this is a given. Konami. I mean, we've seen. I just don't like the notion of Survive and all the patchy slot bullshit that's been happening with putting Silent Hill and a Metal Gear remake on there. I think they did like MGS3 and the Fox engine, and it was only on patchy slot. So that's nice.
They did the cutscenes, and which was at the same time it's very cheap to do it because the actual gameplay is pretty. It's very like chibi styled or whatever, and the fact that
that still required some effort out of Konami, and that Fox engine is not getting much mileage.
Yeah, what I've said before, like I'll say this: Survive. I've played it. Not the worst game I own on Steam. It's a fucking asshole bought it. But Survive is a neat idea with execution that's really, really poor. And that's the thing that pisses me off Konami. There could have been a decent game there. They fucked it up a little bit.
Not to mention that, like, all the inner workings of Kojima going against Konami and vice versa. Well, it was the other way around, actually. That just really left a bad taste in people's mouth with the way that was handled. So I just think that all of that, coupled in the fact with their games aren't getting much traction, even though they're trying with the Zone of the Enders remake, and I heard that got like less sales. It was barely advertised, so that was for a reason.
It sold like less than 1 million physical copies total.
Mm-hmm.
Have they been trying? I thought they were more bothered about pachinko machines nowadays.
They've tried with that one release, and that was it. Like, their major mainstream releases is still up in the air because we don't know what they're doing with Silent Hill or Metal Gear right now.
With Zone of the Enders, apparently Cygames, the people who did the PS4 version, apparently they want to make a new one. So who knows what that might lead to. I'm happy they did do it and include VR support. I haven't played the VR version, but I want to. Can't afford the VR at the moment, but I'm happy they did that. And Konami's trying, but they do need to bring back more franchises and stuff, other franchises. I think if they're gonna do, because a lot of people are like really pissed off about the state of Metal Gear and especially Silent Hill. So for them to bring that back, in my opinion, I feel like they should mostly go away from that, bring some of their other franchises back, and then go back to Metal Gear and Silent Hill.
I mean, what I'll say with that is, like, I want a new Silent Hill game, I really do. But I've also, and even as much as I actually kind of like Downpour, I've played Downpour, Homecoming, Origins.
I can understand liking Downpour, and I like Shattered Memories, actually.
Yeah, that's why I didn't mention Shattered Memories. That's actually a good game. Yeah, I don't know. If a track record they've had, especially fucking Homecoming, Jesus. I would rather stick a knife in my hand than trust Konami with another Silent Hill game.
Okay, so Bane wants to play Five Finger Fillet. We got it.
Yeah. Split hand.
Jesus.
Yeah. I don't trust them.
So, I mean, yeah, they just need to get their priorities straight and focus on more games in the West that people actually give a damn about. I mean, it's stuff that they're doing like, indie devs are doing like Bloodstained, which is looking pretty cool. So, yeah, I think we just need Castlevania to come back, Metal Gear, and Silent Hill in some form. Just once you get to that point of working on other IPs, like Anthony mentioned, just bring out all your guns after that.
Fucking bring back Rumble Roses, goddammit.
I've never played that game, so I have no comment.
Then again, the character
is fucking great.
It's
I wouldn't hold out too much hope.
It's just like wrestling titties, right? DOA.
It's wrestling titties, and it's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the character designer is dead, so who the fuck knows?
Jesus, that was morbid.
Yeah, that kind of jumped really fast into depressingness.
I never knew that, so holy crap.
Yeah, he died 2 years ago, so...
Ah, damn.
There's always time to just polish up the old models.
Yep.
I don't know. I have this feeling in about like 2 or 3 years, Konami's going to start selling IPs.
I hope they will.
I hope they will.
Yeah.
For a while, I actually was thinking about that, like, who would be best suited to handle all of their franchises, and it will be a really long discussion, but
Bethesda gets Metal Gear.
No.
Oh no.
Sony gets Metal Gear.
Although they hand it to the Evil Within guys, so that would be a positive. And Bethesda gets Castlevania, but they also make it like a Fallout game.
I would fucking die. Sorry. I just would. Oh, man.
Marvelous gets Marvelous or Marvel. The Marvelous publishers get a fucking Rumble Roses. They literally just make it like Senran and Kagura.
And then NIS America gets translation rights for all of them.
That'd be a train wreck. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It can't be worse than some of the early Metal Gear PC ports, though.
Haven't played them, so I cannot say.
I played them just 2 on PC. All I gotta say.
Alright, so what is the next one for worst?
I think me? Did I say mine?
Nope.
No.
I said Microsoft, the creator of the Kinect.
I'll disagree. Well, I'd say the Kinect era, yes. Now I disagree.
It's more of because I put it at 5. It's more because they're trying. Keyword being trying to improve, but also there's not a lot of games that would make me interested in buying an Xbox One. If I got one for free, then I would mostly just be playing a lot of 360 games and I never got the chance to play, or are cheaper on that system. But I just whenever Microsoft releases a game that's like exclusive to them,
yeah.
I just don't give a shit. I want to start giving a shit, you know?
I'll say this. Compared to very early this gen, where a certain former EA executive kind of fucked things up, at least they're actually trying. That's a positive, I think. Now,
yeah.
If it was late last gen, early this gen, I'd probably put Microsoft at like 2 or 3.
The past left a bad taste in people's mouth because they were going around and trying to advocate the DRM thing. So in the exclusives, it didn't really help either because I just wasn't interested in their lineup when they first started. It was terrible.
I was only interested in Sunset, and that was it.
Mm.
And that's on PC now.
Without the multiplayer, though.
That's not fun.
To be fair, both of them's launch, like both the PS4 and the Xbox One's launch was fucking awful. The fact that whoever greenlit like Knack should have been shot.
Mark Cerny. No, what are you talking about? Mark Cerny. Mark Cerny's the Lord and Savior of the PS4.
As much as I like Mark Cerny, the fact that anybody thought that Knack was a good idea, yikes.
You don't understand. Like when it comes to Knack, you gotta with the new PS4, what you have to do is create a cutscene of Knack jumping into the next area rather than making you jump to the next area. It's great. It's perfect. It just works.
But like there are some games that Microsoft's put out recently that I wish were better. Sea of Thieves, potential's there. Execution was not great.
I was actually gonna bring that up because Rare's fucking trash, and they've been trash ever since they joined Xbox.
I'd say Grab by the Ghoulies was fucking fun.
Yeah, but that was what, 2003?
Wasn't that like
2004?
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't that game like super old now?
And then I kind of have to give a little bit of love to Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
No, you get out.
I like it.
And then no one gives love to Perfect Dark Zero.
Perfect.
Zero's multiplayer was decent. Its story was all over the fucking place.
I just had to mention it because of the reception.
But, at least Rare is getting back to making actual games.
I don't know about that one, Chief. I like their games they put out. It hasn't interested me in the slightest, so I don't know. I will say it is good that Microsoft is doing this power play of grabbing all these studios because, I mean, they really need it at this point.
They need it. No, go on.
I would say I think it's a smarter bet for the future because I do see. I think the Xbox One was probably a little bit failed because of certain former EA executive. And you'll see next gen more of a focus on the exclusives, I think, for him.
Well, he's working at Zynga now, so I'm pretty sure
he
that
got
place...
fired from Zynga.
Well, I guess that place
Even
isn't a dumpster fire anymore.
Zynga fired him.
One thing I will say, I think that I feel that Xbox might be better next generation than Sony, just for the fact that Sony moved their headquarters to California. So I think there may be some decisions that will be made in the future that are really going to affect them going down, and then Xbox coming back.
Been made.
Yeah, there has been sort of a pattern the past few generations where like the winner sort of the previous generation gets a bit too cocky.
Yeah,
and like sort of over demands from their audience, and then just basically gets shat on until they sort of bounce back. Like for instance, PS2 did really great. Then Sony asked for $600 for the PS3, and then they got absolutely crushed by Microsoft and Nintendo.
I'll give you $600 to shut the hell up.
If you remember, like the early PS, like when PS2, like we were talking about PS3, they said the PS3 would have the same interface as the Matrix.
Yeah, that was just a fucking dumb statement.
Yeah. The statements from back then are fucking gold.
I agree with what Llama said. It's the overconfidence of a company that usually leads to their downfall, and then they just sort of pick up the pieces and go from there. So it just goes back and forth, back and forth. I think the censoring of the anime lose or whatever that Sony's been doing, that's pissed people off a lot with the visual
Japanese
novels
market. Like,
yeah. So it's just really weird, and I think that's just how next gen is gonna go. Then the company will bounce back, then the company will get too cocky. It's all a giant pattern.
I don't think any of them is gonna pull a Sega in a while. Like, I don't see like Sony or Microsoft completely announcing, "Hey, we're just having consoles coming out immediately," and then getting ass fucked because everybody who didn't get it is like, "Oh, fuck you guys."
Mm-hmm.
If you remember the Sega Saturn, that fucking launch.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible.
But yeah, I think next gen, especially because, I mean, a lot of those studios that like Playground that did pretty well for them with the Horizon series. Ninja Theory, say what you will about DMC, but they also made a game that got a lot of awards with Hellblade.
And the Enslaved one or whatever.
Yeah.
Never played
Enslaved wasn't
either. I hate Ninja Theory. I'm sorry, I have to go on record.
Oh, I won't blame you for DMC. That fucking game is yikes. And also getting Obsidian, that is probably the smartest thing they did.
Yeah, watch the Game Awards. Obsidian's gonna announce Fallout New Vegas 2.
How?
God, by the way, if that was real, if they actually show up and it's Fallout New Vegas 2, I'd bust a fucking nut. You could space.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that. That might be the only thing that might save Fallout at this rate.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into them later, aren't we?
Yeah, we're gonna get into them
indeed.
later. I have them. Yeah, whoever has them first, basically. But
Let's let Shadow go next.
So yeah, since you already mentioned Konami and EA, I'm gonna mention next Hello Games, which are the makers of No Man's Sky.
Oh,
Which I have to say, I loved the concept of No Man's Sky, and I still have like a soft spot for the game, but my god, these guys were the perfect example how not to advertise your game, how not to PR. It was terrible.
Well, that was also a bit of Sony too, because you could tell like Sony was pushing them really hot and heavy.
Probably yes, a little bit.
They got him on like was it Jimmy Kimmel or was it like it was one of the Jimmys, Jimmy Fallon, I think. They had them everywhere at every press conference. Hello Games, The Joe Danger games were fun because I've played those. I liked them. They're neat games for what they were. The fact they jumped from that to what No Man's Sky was, or the idea of what No Man's Sky was at launch, baffled my fucking mind. I didn't know how they would do it. And then I played it, and I still didn't know how they did it because it didn't work.
All right, so I guess I'm gonna play devil's advocate, but of course they were gonna take all that publicity because
I don't blame them.
They really, really, really just wanted to put their game out there and not knowing that they weren't gonna live up to all of their expectations.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
And it's really sad, but at the same time, a lot of people say now that No Man's Sky is actually worth playing, which is weird.
Yeah,
It's okay.
From what I've seen, they've improved a lot. Like, they've actually built in proper multiplayer and have, like, a bigger expansion of stuff to do.
Yeah, you wouldn't recognize the game. If you played it at launch and played it now, you would not really recognize it anymore, I think, because it's changed a lot. And technically, I had Hello Games on, like, the top of my list, but I skipped them. I waited until now because as I said, you mentioned EA and Konami, which are also on my list.
Well,
So,
we can still bring them up later again.
yeah, sure. But yeah, you have to hold that as a good thing, that they released like 3 or 4 free updates, basically.
They just released the 5th, actually.
Yeah, that is good. That is good. But it is so sad that they made that mistake of overhyping so hard and then announcing things that were never gonna be in at launch, and they knew they weren't gonna be in at launch. And yeah, it was just a sad state of affairs at launch. It really was. Crushed
I will give
soul.
them, though, genuine praise. Just the fact they actually stuck with it. Because I assumed they would just like, yeah, we're dead as a company now.
Yeah,
All right.
If anything, I sort of feel sorry for them because the guy basically got rocketed to like overnight celebrity. Like
hard to
Sony
imagine,
just
yeah.
randomly picked him up, and it was his first game, so
I know
it wasn't like he had a lot of experience with. Was it?
Yeah, he did the Joe Danger games. There was 2 of those, so it was his third.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't know that either. Like, it's some kind of weird history there, but
Yeah.
I will say I hope we don't get into that era because, well, never mind, we're already in there with fucking early access games and games being uncompleted, which you have to pay for. So we've already gotten to that point. I hope that stops in the future. I don't want to have to wait like 3 years until a game finally gets decent.
I'll say this: early access. I like the idea. I really do. The concept's great. Yeah, being able to get into a multiplayer game early, kick the wheels off, and also help, explain bugs, help with people, all that. You're crowdfunding, essentially. You're bug reporting, also. But a lot of games, Daisy, sorry, what was that? Linger a little too long in early access to the point where you'll never know if it's ever going to actually be finished, like properly finished.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. If you're going to be a bug tester, then you have to pay for it. That stuff kind of should be free, right?
Sometimes, but also there are games where it's like, I think games like Beat Saber, stuff like that, they work better in early access, and like they are billions than like a lot of the games that are in early access.
Mm-hmm.
Because those are games where it's like, yeah, there's stuff that, like, once people actually get their hands on and you realize, oh, shit, okay, I never thought of that. I never thought of testing that. You can fix it.
Yeah.
7 Days to Die has been in early access since, like, 2012.
That's pretty fucking long. Jesus.
Yeah. And it's nowhere near finished.
Also, one more thing I wanted to mention just really quickly. If we have like the same games on each other's lists, like EA and stuff like that, and we're getting into a discussion, then perhaps we should cut those off since we're talking about them anyway and just talk about the games that we possibly don't have on there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
So if it comes across, just talk about it in the panel and I'll let you know if it's on everyone's list.
Alright. Have we... Shadow. I don't think we've gotten one from you.
Well, yeah. Wait. Didn't I just mention? Wait.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay.
So the
I'm
one who didn't
confused.
go is Llama, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, I'm hungover.
My fifth worst is Activision or Activision Blizzard, and it's for two main reasons. One is for it's very there are two main things that it does, and that is milking franchises and very bad licensed games. With like a lot of Activision games, it sort of feels like what they do is they just throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks, and then just beat that into the ground and beyond. Like with Call of Duty, I mean, they've beaten that right to the center of the earth. I mean, I would have stopped sometime around Ghosts because that game was atrocious.
See, I'll sort of slightly disagree. I'd say that with COD, you get one game every 3 years that's really good, and that's the one's developed by Treyarch. And then you get the Sledgehammer ones, which are a little hit or miss, like we got their moments. Then you've got Infinity Ward's games. That's all I need to say about that. But like, as a company, I understand why, you know, like when a cash cow is working, you don't really want to stop it. And I don't blame them for like wanting to make more COD games. I mean, fuck, I've bought the Treyarch ones because I like the zombies.
Yeah.
But yeah, the license games. Oh fuck. You remember all the 007?
Yeah, no, I was more thinking of the Amazing Spider-Man games.
Oh.
Especially since that we've seen how a Spider-Man game should be made very recently. With the Insomniac game, like Amazing Spider-Man 2, compare the two. It's like
it was a bad
literally
game
a diamond versus
film.
a turd.
It's a bad game based on an awful film.
Well, the thing is, they were basically Activision were whipping bees nuts to make the fucking video game. They're like, hey, this new Spider-Man movie's come out. Make video game, or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But I would like to add on to even when Activision actually tries to do good with like tries to do good with like fucking Spyro Reignited, they still fuck it up because I feel that Spyro Reignited, in my opinion, was great, but there was aspects of it that I found that were lazy, right?
Yeah.
Because I really feel that what was it? That when they not first of all not putting the games on all three games on the disc, making everyone have to download like I think 20 or 40 gigabytes or whatever of shit.
I think it was like 20 gigs.
Yeah, it was like 20 gigs just for for 2 and 3 to work. Not only to mention the fucking bug, since 3 was the game that was the least polished. It still has its bugs, especially it's still like even to this day it still has its bugs. With
some of them aren't like, don't they keep the bugs for like?
No, it's not. No, they're like actual bugs that weren't in the original game. Like for example, the fucking like Sergeant Bird's camera would glitch out and shit, and he would have first, I think they would be more lenient on than what exactly constitutes as a crash, and like with the skateboarding or whatever. And there's just other things like they fucked up on is like sizing of projectiles, and like it's very like very like some stuff that makes the game sometimes a bit harder too.
Yeah, but
at the same time, it doesn't have like the difficulty curve that happens whenever you're like actually doing good. That's in the original game, like depending on like how many eggs you collected and shit. So like at times the game can feel really easy, but the bugs can make it a bit harder and shit.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm here for the Activision thing. I just wanted to say one thing I don't like that they do a lot is I don't like that they cancel everything for COD. Like, that shit gets on my nerves. All the good talent gets liquidated for Call of Duty games. And I'm like, why? They didn't do anything with the Spider-Man team from Beatnox. They could have made a completely new superhero game. They did the same thing with the Prototype team. It's like, you have all this talent, why not make interesting and diverse games? That's the problem with Activision now. I do like the fact that they went back and, you know, they tried to cash in on nostalgia for Crash, and it did work. A lot of people bought into it, but now I'm hearing Spyro's like way too easy and it has bugs, and that's not cool in my opinion.
It was a different dev team that made both of them. That was, I believe, Toys for Bob.
Yeah, Toys for
that made the Skylanders games.
It's true. That's true. But I mean, a little quality assurance can go a long way, right?
Yeah. They delayed the game for quality assurance. What you talking about?
They delayed the game and there's still bugs. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Speaking of Activision-based mistakes with Spyro, I don't know if anyone remembers this sort of very bizarre Spyro trilogy that happened that was released after, I think, Enter the Dragonfly.
Yeah.
I
like Hero's Tale, but Legend of Spyro was stupid.
I remember Legend of Spyro: A New Beginning was the only one I played, and for some reason they turned a collectathon into a really bad sort of action adventure sort of game.
Wait a minute, actually, I think Legend of Spyro was by Silicon or whatever. I don't think it was published by Activision. I think. I'll look it up. It was definitely a different company. Let's see.
It might have been, honestly, now that I think about it. Could it have been when, like, Vindy had it for a little while?
Let's see, Legend of Spyro.
I think Vivendi's owned by Activision. Was owned by.
Yeah, it was the Vivendi had it for Legend, and I think right after the third game came out. After the third game came out, Activision bought the rights.
What the hell is that noise? Someone's phone?
That was
phone.
My phone for some reason decided to tell me something that I didn't need to know.
Oh shit, no, I'm wrong actually. The Legend of Spyro 1 and 2 were published by Vivendi, and the third game, which was super fucking rare, was published by Activision in the US. There we go.
Nah, so it's a little bit of weird publishing rights going on there. But either way, like, the main thing still is valid for me. Like, Activision just needs more variety. You have, like, a lot more IPs than just Call of Duty. It's time to utilize those.
Oh yeah, at the very least, like, focus on COD, but do something different with it. And also don't skip out on... It's weird, EA, with their EA originals, they can do pretty good with that. I think Activision needs to focus on something like that.
Yeah, an internal team that works on different games, that's always a great thing. So instead
keep them small, keep them tight.
Yeah, I do think that out of like the big three of EA, Activision, and Ubisoft, either Activision's probably the one that hasn't done sort of any sort of lower budget indie style stuff. Like EA is the EA originals, and Ubisoft has like the UbiArt games, like Rayman Legends. But Activision doesn't really have any of those things, which I think is it really needs to get with the times. Because I think that those like lower budget games are some of the best games those publishers are bringing out at right now.
Yeah, so it seems like a weird situation where a lot of their mainstream stuff is really just Call of Duty and that's it. So that needs to change, in my opinion, if they want to become better. And right now, they just seem like they're pumping out the same thing and that's it.
I mean, I can understand, like, business level. COD makes so much fucking money.
It does.
Like, they throw like $200 million into it and they get like $800 million back.
It does. It does actually, you know, they could just rest on their laurels and make like Call of Duty games and they'll sell like hotcakes. But at the same time, they need to ask themselves, like, when it gets old and when a Call of Duty actually fails, what else do you have to lean on in terms of finances? And this happened with
COD Ghosts.
Yeah, Ghosts failed, and I think it was another one, Infinite Warfare, right?
Infinite Warfare slightly failed. Like, it wasn't anywhere near as bad as Ghosts.
But it wasn't the hit that they were hoping for, right?
Yeah. Thankfully, they didn't pull the same. This is a little bit of spoiler here, but the same ending bullshit they did in COD Ghosts.
Yeah. Don't forget they are merged with Blizzard, so they do have Overwatch and World of War to lean on at the end of the day.
Also, like smaller hits like Hearthstone, that one makes a lot of money for them on mobile.
Oh god! If we mention Blizzard now, Diablo Immortal, holy crap!
Yeah, I just wanted to ask: do we want to talk about that, or
No, I don't have Blizzard, so.
Well, they're technically a company.
Technically, Activision Blizzard are the same company, so.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
Yeah. 5-minute tangent on Blizzard.
Yeah,
I mean,
go for it.
I feel like Blizzard does well with their Overwatch fan base, and that's about it.
I think they also do very well with World of Warcraft with their recent announcement of the classic servers that will come back, which is something a lot of people have demanded.
Yeah, that's been something that's kind of intriguing me, honestly. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, same.
WoW in the early days.
I just know I cannot waste that much time again, so I probably will not do it. But I like it that they did actually listen to the players. But then again, they kind of convinced me of the exact opposite when they thought it was a great idea to announce a mobile game at BlizzCon and hype it up as it would be a new Diablo title, and then being surprised that people didn't like it.
See, for me, they should have done... Fuck, even Bethesda didn't get as much anger when they announced, hey, we're doing an Elder Scrolls mobile game. Because they announced they're also doing another Elder Scrolls game also. Yeah,
they did it like as a side note and not as a fucking main thing. And what
Fallout
they thinking? Yeah, imagine that, like a big new Fallout announcement. Fallout Shelter. Good night. What?
I mean, I like Fallout Shelter. I still
it was
okay.
Play it. It was okay.
It's fun for what it is. But like, I don't understand why they would ever say like, "Hey, this is a major announcement." Gears Pop, a Funko Pop-based mobile game, was announced alongside the new Gears of War.
Yeah, that's how you do it, and I don't know how they thought that would be a good idea. Who said that? Who greenlit that? I don't know.
An idiot.
Makes me worry. Yeah, it makes me kind of worry because I love most of the Blizzard games. They have been with me for my whole childhood, basically, so I'm a bit concerned, but I still have hope.
I've played Diablo 2 almost more than any other game. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I feel like this hopefully isn't a big worrying sign for the future for him, but...
I really hope so as well, but my god.
So, do we want to switch to now the best developers for the fifth one? Because we've been going for a little bit on that one.
Oh yeah, we fucking have, sure.
I've still got 4 more worst.
But
worst game companies.
Yeah, we alternating. I think for 5, I put CD Projekt Red because they're good, and that's kind of it. I just know everyone's happy with CD Projekt Red. I've heard nothing negative about them. Especially like even if someone like doesn't like the game, they can still respect the developer for doing the shits that they do.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so that's why I put them at another 5 because I don't know much about it, but I know they're really solid.
Yeah, they really blew up with The Witcher 3 because I think the first 2 games were they were Eurojank basically. You could tell that there was some very janky and dated aspects to them because of like budget constraints, but like with 3 they just sort of it's like a chasm of quality difference in them, and I suppose you can still like see the care that's put into say that like The Witcher 2 and The Witcher 1 with like the world building and stuff, but with The Witcher 3 is like everything else just goes up to the same level. and of course you've got Good Old Games and the whole fighting against DRM, and actually giving Steam competition, which I think, aside from like Ubisoft and EA, who are both also heartless corporations, I think CD Projekt Red, they're the only ones who really are competing with Steam based on something other than they want to control the market. They're doing it because they don't like DRM. Like, they think that DRM is bad and they want to basically give people an option where they don't have to use it, as opposed to, we want to make money. We see Steam's making a lot of money. Give us some of that money, sort of thing that Ubisoft and EA have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I do think Cyberpunk is probably the most intriguing game that's coming out soon.
Definitely.
It looks so fucking impressive, and it looks like something Rockstar would put out. Which
are we talking about CD Projekt Red now?
We are. We're talking about positive, not negative.
All right, I just got back in, so I didn't know.
Fine.
So yeah, I do like their statements. Them talking about, we don't keep DLC behind a paywall forever. Sometimes we actually have leeway and we let our fans get free DLC. That's cool. Not many corporations do that unless it's the rare occasion. I do like the fact that they also fight against the DRM business, and they also own GOG, if I'm not too mistaken, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's good that they have not only a site where you can buy games, but they also go against DRM. And most of their games that came out seem to be pretty good. A lot of people like Witcher. A lot of people are digging the Cyberpunk gameplay. I know there's criticisms about it being a vertical slice and people saying, wait till launch to see if there's any bugs, but it's CD Projekt Red, so if they are willing to put in the effort to make that game really great, and so far it looks really good, but we gotta see, then I'm gonna be sold on it when it comes out. The only problem is I want a release date, man. Come on. I really want to know when there's gonna be a release date for the game, but I think it's gonna be one of those affairs where it's like, wait until it's done.
Yeah. And I'm perfectly fine with that, honestly.
Yeah,
all right.
It's like, take your time. There's no rush. If a good game comes out of it, I'm gonna be completely entertained.
It fucking looks amazing already, and I'm just like, okay.
I'm
willing to wait on this.
I agree. Like, some of the upgrading systems as well, with the the arms and all that shit, and just androids getting tossed everywhere. It reminded me a lot of Deus Ex: Human Revolution. That was a really good sign.
Yeah. I think it's looking fucking amazing, and CD Projekt Red's got a hit on their hands with that.
I agree.
Yes, definitely.
I'm gonna go with a developer. We mentioned him when we brought up Activision. So my number 5th, best developer or publisher is going to be Treyarch within Activision. They haven't made too many bad games. They made Spider-Man 2, which is a really fucking great game.
Let's see.
They made so many different games before even going into Call of Duty, where that's been their biggest franchise they've worked on so far. And Call of Duty has, say what you will about it, but all the Treyarch ones have been pretty great. Spider-Man 3, not so good. Ultimate Spider-Man, it's a little hit or miss, but
it has its moments. I like the game, but for Ultimate Spider-Man, I feel as though the movement is not as good as it was in Spider-Man 2. That's the only issue, but I really do like that game a lot. So no shitting on it, in my opinion. I know a lot of people are, they love that game a lot. I'm just saying the movement could be better.
It's aged, I think, is the problem.
Yeah.
I think it's basically if Insomniac Spider-Man was made like a decade or more earlier,
Oh yes, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's got the sort of sandboxy repetitiveness and the issues there, but like the swinging and is really good, and you do feel like Spider-Man.
Alright, and then also with Treyarch, not to like go on too much, they've made everything from Call of Duty 2 Big Red 1, which is the last gen version, which my mind was a lot better because it had the cast of Band of Brothers.
Oh,
it was on GameCube, PS2, Xbox, and then the next year they made COD 3, which COD 3 is a little odd. Not the worst game of the series, but it could have been better. But then World at War, Black Ops 1, 2, 3, and 4 have been there like ever since then. Other than 2008, they had World at War, 007 Quantum of Solace, which not a bad license game. And then Spider-Man Web of Shadows, which I'd say is the best Spider-Man other than Spider-Man 2 and Insomniac. Not a lot of people give Web of Shadows credit.
Yeah.
Wait, did you say Web of Shadows is better than Insomniac Spider-Man?
No, I said it's up there with Insomniac and the second one.
I was about to say Bane. Don't let me choke you out.
I did not say that. I said nothing of the sort. Thank you very much.
Okay, so if we can move on in the good list, there's probably one I'm going to mention that will take some slots off people's lists, but Sega. I think Sega has been doing pretty well in terms of like, distribute, putting out their games out there, and I kind of fucked up there, so let me start over. But I think that, the Yakuza series, that's really been marketed well in the West, and they've been taking good care of that. Also, the remasters that they've been doing, like Vanquish, Bayonetta on PC, all good, because I remember buying the terrible PS3 port, and
that's
bad.
I would less said about Bayonetta 3 Bayonetta on PS3 even better.
I like to add to this because that was actually my my number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I put more Sega and Atlas because they're basically the same company now.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say their US team, like Sega of America and Atlas USA, they're probably they will provide like literally the best localizations for each like Yakuza, whatever products to come up with, like Valkyria Chronicles, Shining Force.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing they need to work on is honestly their Sonic output with Sonic Team, which I put in my worst at first, but then again, it's like one aspect of Sega. But everything else they've been really improving on, especially listening to their fans, they've really improved on, because we finally got Shenmue 1 and 2 HD. Although there was something about, like, apparently there was going to be a full-on remake of it, but I think the one and,
isn't there like a video of that floating out there now?
Yeah, Digital Foundry, I'm aware, but but it looks like I think the last like full-on Sega stream they were showing like the franchises they want to, like people were asking to bring back like in a whole vote like poll or whatever, and I think the next thing they're probably going to bring back is Jet Set Radio, and a lot of people have been really fucking asking for Jet Set Radio.
I've never played this game, but a lot of people talk about it. And it's funny, I have an original Xbox. I need to pick that up for my next purchase.
Yeah. Oh, Future's great. Future's great.
Future the original is fucking amazing.
I do actually own that on Steam.
The original hasn't aged the best, but Future's fucking great.
I'm still hoping for a backwards compatible version of that, although that might take a while because of the licensed songs. Because there's a lot of music in that game, and music's important for the game.
Oh, also one more thing I wanted to mention. I'm pretty sure they had a hand, well, Sega at least, they had a hand in bringing back Streets of Rage because...
Oh yeah, yes.
Yep.
Yes, that... when I saw Streets of Rage 4, I was like, yeah, that's bringing back my childhood in a good way. If that game is great, I will be picking that up across every platform. I'm not kidding. That's how much I love that series.
Yeah, I forgot I keep forgetting they're bringing back Streets of Rage, but let's see. Depending on, I really think Sonic Team should. It's like the only problem with Sega at the moment is their Sonic output. Like they've been doing great with like Mania and shit, but like their modern Sonic output, like Forces and shit like that, the like Team Sonic Racing, the fact we haven't had a good modern Sonic game in like what 6 years now.
Good modern Sonic game.
Well, yeah, Sonic Generations was pretty alright.
I was about to say,
Sonic game in years.
You were about to be thrown to the gallows, sir, if you didn't mention Generations.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's what I mean by 6 years, because that was 6 years ago. Holy fucking shit!
That's been a long time. Shit.
7 years ago, because that came out in 2011. I keep thinking it came out in 2012.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But and their Atlas's output, they have fucking Persona now, so Sega's gonna give them the money.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm more about Crazy Taxi.
Oh, I remember
That's my franchise of choice when it comes to Sega.
I'm still waiting for a port on Crazy Taxi 3, man.
Crazy Taxi. I just remember the announcer is so ridiculous in that game, and just
Hey, come on over and have some fun with Crazy Taxi.
Crazy Taxi.
Let's give it another go. I think I don't know if I can do it perfectly, but it's kind of okay. Or it's very easy.
Hey, let's give it another go.
Pretty easy to imitate, but with Crazy Taxi, I know the recent game they did was City Rush, which was a mobile game. It wasn't bad, but it was kind of just like more Crazy Taxi. Apparently, like I think one point they had a fucking collaboration with Hulk Hogan, which was weird.
Holy crap! How did that work?
Very weird. Okay.
Gonna leg drop your brother.
Brother.
Yeah, that was back in like 2014, and who knows what they'll do with Crazy Taxi. We can hope for a fucking port of 3, which I would love and probably buy, or at least backwards compat, you know, but
Yeah.
So,
Anybody else?
yeah.
Well, I also had CD Projekt Red just as a honorable mention on my number 5, basically. I don't really play much of them, but I really respect what they do, so yeah.
Yeah, I just think that I said it earlier. It would be easier if we all mentioned the same thing, just to have a discussion about it, so we can scratch that off the list in the background.
Yeah.
And it'll make the podcast flow better.
My 5th best is Nintendo, I think. It's the only like big publisher / developer.
As of recent years, you're saying?
Well, I think it's more with the way they make games on consoles, because like I know that they're still behind in certain aspects, obviously, but it's because a lot of them are still sort of the old guard, like Anuma and obviously Miyamoto and people like that, but the way that they make games and consoles, you can tell that they're gamers themselves, because they make games that they want to play. It's a passion for them, which you don't really see very often in like big budget games. And of course the ethos with them making a game, stuff like a delayed game is eventually good, a rush game is eventually bad. If it's not fun, what's the point? It's all like very good like design ethoses, and also the way they make video game consoles, where like I think Sony and Microsoft sort of basically make living room PCs. Nintendo is actually
Now they're making a console.
Yeah, they're making a console. They're making something that you don't get on PC. Like the Switch was is something you can take on the go, or the Wii U. You had like the tablet thing, which doesn't work on PC, and the Wii was something different as well. And I just appreciate that they're trying to find new ways to innovate video games in the industry, like with the physical media in which you interact with it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that anyone else is really doing that. I mean, I suppose VR is doing it, but that wasn't really the big company. Yeah, it wasn't really the big companies who started it. It was like Oculus who started it, and then the big companies sort of latched onto the trend, which is something they tend to do, as opposed to taking the risks when it comes to innovating. And I just appreciate Nintendo for doing that, as well as making fun games. Which, I mean, they've been doing pretty solidly for a very long time now. I mean, I know I said that I know I complained about Activision milking COD, and I know Nintendo, they're always pushing out Mario games and Zelda games and stuff like that, but they do innovate with it. Like you can't really say that. Yeah, you can't really say that Sunshine is exactly like 64, is exactly like Galaxy, is exactly like 3D World. They do actually like change it. It's not quite like they're making a Mario game. It's like they're making platformers, and when they make a platformer, they make it a Mario game. So like their franchises aren't sort of like tied to a particular style as much as a genre.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be the odd man out on Nintendo, because I feel that while they do make great games and they do commission some good ideas, there are those times where it does take a gimmick to get their consoles off the ground. It happened with the Wii and the Wii U. Didn't go so well with the tablets and touchscreens and all that crap. And then now with the Switch, everything's portable. It's convenient, but it did take a gimmick to get that console off the ground for me. So I don't know. I really am looking forward to Metroid Prime 4, because that's probably one of the really only super good games that I played back on the Super NES, and I really enjoyed it amongst a slew of others, like Super Mario RPG, but obviously they're not doing like a new entry of that. So I really like the Prime games and the Metroid games, and I want to really explore more of those.
Yeah, I definitely I definitely see why you could, that's fair enough. But personally, I like the gimmicks, because I mean, obviously they don't always hit, and they have problems with them. But with like the normal consoles, it's just sort of feels like a living room PC. Like like there isn't a single exclusive on Xbox or PlayStation, I don't think, where you'd have a solid answer to why couldn't this be on PC, other than it's a first party exclusive. And I think that at least Nintendo tries to have an answer to that question, even if it doesn't work out.
Like I didn't think that all the gimmicks were bad, but obviously, like I said, I mentioned the Wii U, so it really didn't work out for that system in particular.
Wii U has a lot of different problems.
Oh no, it's not only that, but like Vita did try to copy with the touchscreen crap, and I just think that some gimmicks work and some don't. And we're in an age now where I think a lot of people tend to use the portable argument for Nintendo as an excuse. And that's one thing I really don't like, because admittedly, if you gotta face facts, third-party games on Nintendo platforms do run really bad in terms of other systems. Like LA Noire doesn't run really that great on Switch compared to other platforms. But if you want to go around and take your Switch somewhere, if you're on the go and mobile a lot, that's a good option for you because, again, a lot of people are super busy. They don't have time to really sit down and play their consoles like they usually do. So that's a good option. I think they just struck when the time was right on that because that was like after they had their success with the 3DS. And more people, they wanted more support of that. They wanted more games from that. So making the Switch have like full AAA games in support of a, mobile system, that's a pretty good idea. So anyone else on Nintendo before we move on? Also they're bringing back Luigi's Mansion, so that's pretty damn cool if you ask me.
Oh yeah. I think that's it for me.
Are we still on the bad list?
No, we're good.
Yeah.
Oh,
We've
okay.
We were alternating, I think.
Yeah. So I guess we can do the bad list now if I'm gonna go next.
Yeah.
So obviously this is a given. WB Montreal as a publisher, they're fucking terrible because I just recently heard that the big rumor going around the grapevine is they want to make their new superhero game a game as a service, meaning probably gonna have micros or probably gonna have some practice that I probably won't like.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting here, but I think, but no matter what, the fans will defend it, and you know it.
I do, because I didn't like when people were defending all the DLC practices for Arkham Knight, and when I bought the DLC, I found out that you could beat it in like 2 minutes with Red Hood. I'm like, this is not a good expansion pack. This is something that you should get for free. It's just bad. It's just the way it's paced, the way it's made is not really that plentiful. And then the whole crap with Mortal Kombat X on PC, and they outsourced the game, and the game really had terrible online for a long time until they did the XL patch. WB as a publisher, they have good games from good developers, but they do stupid things with them. I don't even have to mention the whole Shadow of War episode. I'm pretty sure everyone knows about the loot boxes in single player, which got people really, really pissed off. So stuff like that makes them a terrible publisher because many people, they don't want this stuff.
Well, I don't know anyone who'd want that. Who'd want bloody loot boxes in single player. I mean, you show me someone who wants loot boxes in a single player game, I'll show you someone who's been kicked in the head very hard by a horse. I mean, come on, what's wrong with you? Do you really want to give these companies money? Because what they're basically saying is, hey, I know that you're paying us at least $60 for this game, if not more, for the Legendary Edition, but we don't think that it's enough, so we're gonna make this game as unbalanced as fucking possible and make you pay extra to make it more balanced. So basically, we're calling you a fucking idiot. So, and then this person's going, yes, I do want to give them money. You don't get that. You get people who will grumble and pay it anyway, or just won't really think about it, but you don't really get people who are really enthusiastic about it unless they're like really suffering from something like a gambling problem or like I said, brain damage. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, so they really need to just better their practices and really just keep consumer interest in mind, because like I said, there's a lot of YouTubers out there covering the whole scandals and everything, and loot boxes is really getting hammered in terms of legality. So I just think that they really should think about that term, games as a service, because you never know what's going to happen next, and then all of a sudden loot boxes and micros and stuff like that starts to get banned more and more and more, and then it's like, well, oh shit, What's next? We got to cut it out before something happens. Pull the plug.
I think that they're probably more worried about the legality side of it than the YouTube.
Than the fact that they can get away with it.
Journalism.
Yeah.
Because the thing with game journalism is that while they do have very large audiences that can get their messages out there and really like sort of spread the whole thing that this is not good, there is just so many people who are just don't follow it. Like they'll probably they probably will just see all the stuff about the video games like on TV adverts or on Facebook. Like you got to remember, like the whole sort of audience for YouTube journalists probably make up like millions of dollars out of $1 billion industry, like $1 billion industry. So while it's good that they're there and getting the message out, it's a very small drop in the bucket. But I think a lot of people who champion like the whole controversies, like look at this, we're really showing it to them, like the whole Battlefront 2 thing.
Yeah.
We were all like, yeah, gamers have finally had enough, and then EA was like, yeah, it's not really gonna hurt our bottom line.
Yeah,
because those idiots still bought the loot boxes.
Yeah, and they put the loot boxes back in anyway. So
they actually didn't with that. I can confirm that because no.
Oh, okay.
You just earn everything as you level up. And Vex have been playing the prequel update with it.
And I just want to like piggyback off of that. Like I agree. Like I don't, in terms of big articles, I don't think that the YouTube controversy is bigger than the stuff that's getting out there as pressing news, and people really don't like that stuff when they see it. But I'm just saying, like, bad press is not always good press. So if someone just is swayed not to buy a game in general because someone else says something from word of mouth, then that's usually sometimes how it goes. And that means that a company can lose sales either way. And it's just not good for the company. Like, if a lot of people, if you're introducing something that's like very, very intrusive and a lot of people just aren't vibing it, then that spells a lot of trouble if it keeps piling on from a legal perspective and from the community.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I don't think that game's gonna work out too well. It could be probably the most amazing game ever, but if it gets worse with the whole, with how like WB Montreal has been going so far, then I don't think it's gonna go well. I'm probably not gonna even buy that game because I've tried to give them a shot with Mortal Kombat X and Arkham Knight, but I'm just getting tired of all the intrusive services.
I'm gonna give it a shot because I like the idea of an actually good Superman game possibly happening.
They said it possibly might not even be a Superman game. It just might be a regular superhero game, but we don't know what it is. That might be
Justice League, and I get to play as a speedster. Then fuck yes.
Mm-hmm. That might be a little bit of a deflection, but yeah, I'm curious to see what it is. But I just don't trust the publisher behind it.
I don't disagree with you on that.
All right, so are we gonna move on to the good list? Who hasn't gone yet?
Yes, I'll go for another one.
I still have my fourth bad to go.
Sure, you can name that off.
Yeah, 2K Games. Once again, for two things. First of all, is there sports games? Like if a company's doing a crappy, barely updated loot boxy sports game, it's either going to be EA or 2K. And of course, they had like real problems with like the loot boxes in, I think it was one of their NBA games a couple of years back. And the second one is the fact that what they're doing with they're over like reaching with Rockstar games. Like, I really can't stand what they've done to GTA Online. And like not because like it's the worst, most grindy microtransaction-y game, but more to do with the fact that, you know, what it could have been, like a well-balanced like GTA Online could have been probably the best game ever. Like, if it was just like the campaign, but you know, with other people, that could have been just so amazing, and they just squandered that opportunity so hard. And I just know they're going to do the same thing with Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's just sad.
Red Dead Online has been pretty good so far, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
I haven't played it, but if I were to play Devil's Advocate and knock off just another notion on my list, then Rockstar would probably be in the good category. Now, I don't disagree that GTA Online does not keep my interest at all. I don't know what it is with that game, but it doesn't keep my interest online, and I don't like the shark cards. But at the same time, with Red Dead, they offered us like a game that had like 70 hours of single player, and that's just unprecedented, and I just love the content in that game. As for all their other IPs, I mean, so far most of them have been pretty stellar. I mean, in their lineup they have San Andreas, The Warriors, Manhunt. So I don't think that Rockstar is a bad developer. I think that it's more on the side of Take-Two, where Take-Two just really they are really intrusive on these micros and shark cards and all this shit, and I really don't like that aspect at all.
I would definitely agree with you.
Here's what I'm not excited about 2K. Sorry. With 2K, they're constantly threatening us with the fact that they're possibly making Borderlands 3, and I think that is a fate worse than death. So I don't like they keep cock teasing that.
Are we gonna get into Gearbox or what?
Fuck! I forgot to put that in the worst. I should have put that there.
I did on mine. That's why I brought it up. That was my last one, Gearbox.
Gearbox is my number one. So, fuck Gearbox. Fuck them for everything after Borderlands 1.
What are you talking about? Fuck them before Borderlands 1.
I'll give them.
Actually, no, you're right.
Series. Yeah.
Actually, you're right. It was Borderlands 2. No, wait. Yeah. Was it Borderlands 2 where they stole Sega's money, or was it Borderlands 1?
It was Borderlands 2. Yeah, fuck them for Aliens, Colonial Marines. Fuck them for Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel. And I'm surprised that everybody involved with that company didn't commit ritualistic suicide after.
Some of them wanted to. Some of them actually wanted to. If you actually see some of the reviews on Glassdoor for Gearbox, they're very fucking negative.
Yeah, and of course, fuck Randy Pitchford.
Oh yeah,
yeah, the
Randy
dude
with a fucking knife. He blocked me from Twitter because I called him a cuck.
Like, okay, Randy Pitchford has like zero. He's like a person, and I've seen this before, where they have like zero self-awareness. And any criticism about his game, he automatically deflects and he projects it onto another studio. I remember where he said the reasoning behind Colonial Marines being bad was all Sega's fault. Every single asset. And I was like, bullshit, that's crazy.
You know what reason why Colonial Marines was so bad? It's because it was because of an E. Literally one patch of code.
It's because Gearbox is a bad developer, that's why.
Also,
and there was
fuck them for the worst game I've ever played, Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that, like, Duke Nukem Forever, that game was in development for God knows how long. Gearbox finally picked it up. They had a big responsibility. I mean, I know that
actually, when it comes to Duke Nukem Forever's development, they were when they picked it up, it was like 90 to 95% done. So there's not much Gearbox could have done to fix it at the same time, but they still sold it for money.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Sold it, and it was just a fucking mess, a giant mess.
Sold it for $60, which that on its own is its own fucking ring of hell.
Yeah,
that game should have been $20, maybe.
That was like a death sentence. It's, you know, if you're gonna ship a product in that state where it's just super dated by design and not even spruce it up, then obviously something's gonna go wrong. And a lot of people really like Duke Nukem, so he alienated some fans as well. Well, I'm not gonna say some. I'll say all. There you go.
I don't know anybody who unironically likes Duke Nukem Forever.
I heard.
No, actually, that's bullshit because not really bullshit, but when I played Duke Nukem Forever for my video and I went online just to test it, there were still people playing online, right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And get this. When I left, sometimes I leave for a few days off my PS3. I was playing other stuff. I was doing school. Then I come back. I get 3 messages, and they were all invites to play Duke Nukem Forever. Like they were that desperate for games.
Yeah, there are some
It was fucking hilarious.
There is some Duke Nukem Forever fanboys. I've seen them before. They exist. They do exist.
God, talk about Stockholm Syndrome. Jesus. God, that is depressing.
It was pretty depressing, yes.
But there's some. I never played Borderlands, but Aliens Colonial Marines is just a giant fucking mess. It took a fan to fix that game. That's humiliating. And there goes my phone. It's saying Randy Pitchford, you suck. So
Randy Pitchford.
Yeah, that's all of my worst done.
Oh wow! I still have 3 more.
Jeez.
I've got a couple of worsts.
I tried to go for less obvious ones.
Oh yeah, you should go actually. Yeah. Who do you have?
Well, my third is Atari for one reason.
Look, I don't have much to say on this topic. All I'm gonna say is Atari commissioned Driver 3. Enough said.
Yep.
Enough said for me. I bought that game at launch.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry for you. I'm so sorry for you.
I'm going back to E.T. the video game.
Damn.
The worst video game ever made. So bad that thousands of copies had to be buried in the desert. That almost tanked the entire industry. Like, if it wasn't for Nintendo, Atari would have made sure that all the video games that we're playing today wouldn't have happened. Like, if it was just for Atari, like, we wouldn't be here. We'd probably, I don't know, be doing something productive, like having social lives. I mean, can you imagine?
Fuck that.
Horror.
Okay. Cool.
Well, that's my third.
Atari back then, there's a really great documentary called Atari Game Over, which also shows the unearthing of those from a landfill. Yeah, man. Atari really killed themselves because they had good control of the market. But they kept putting out fucking turds. And E.T. was just the straw that broke the camel's back. If it wasn't for that game, it still probably would have went on, but it just you saw an immediate tumble down afterwards.
Yeah, and of course, like, you know, as I said about Nintendo being one of my best, they saved the entire industry with the NES.
And they were smart for marketing it as an entertainment system, because they would have marketed it as a game console. People would have been like, the fuck? Why would we buy one of these? These flop.
Also, I guess we can, if everyone's done, we can piggyback on the good responses, because I have one good one that I need to get out of the way.
Well, I just have
2 more.
Yeah, you have one bad one left.
I have 2 bad ones. I think.
Here,
Yeah.
You guys want to just speed run the bad ones really fast?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give my my final ones here. Whoever developed Chibi Robo Ziplash deserves to be shot.
I can understand why you say that.
Yeah. And also Dice. Fuck Dice. Here we go.
Nice. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, Battlefield guys. Yeah. Now it's like, no.
Yeah. All right. I'll speed run. Number 2 is. Sorry. Yeah, all right. Speedrunning my last two. All right, number 2 is Zynga, of course. Everyone hates the mobile industry, mobile games. Everything wrong with mobile games, Zynga does, and also with Facebook games, exploiting people's gambling weaknesses, and just basically making Facebook really annoying to go onto and see all those goddamn game invites. And of course,
it's not the only reason Facebook's awful to go.
Yeah, of course, but it is a big reason. And my number 1 worst video game developer is Digital Homicide.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Slaughtering Grounds, was it?
Still.
The game developer that was so bad it basically turned into a meme. Like.
I will give them one thing on props wise. They did sue Jim Sterling. That's a positive because I don't like Jim Sterling.
Then again, they were doing it for like shitty reasons at the same time. So even though I don't like him, Jim Sterling was in his right. But
can we see it was making awful videos.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, you're fine.
Thanks, Bren. I think I was too close to the mic.
Yeah, Tony was super loud for a second.
Yeah, but what was they saying?
And they also sued, like, I think it was everyone who negatively reviewed their game.
Yep.
Digital Homicide. Who are they? What games did they make?
Slaughtering Ground, that was
it. Galactic Hitman. There were a few of
them. They basically just turned out a bunch of shovelware turds onto Steam, and they would have been like another, crappy Steam shovelware game developer. Like I think I can remember there were 2 main ones: Slaughtering Grounds and Freudian slip there. Sorry, Day One Gary's Incident.
I remember that.
Well, someone must really fucking hate me because I have Slaughtering Grounds on Steam, so I assume it was a gift.
It was like 10 cents for a little while there.
Yeah.
And everybody got it.
And the first thing I see is the lawsuit that they had against Steam users.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Basically, it was the game developer that sued the world because it was basically the game developer that sued the world because the world told them they were bad. Yeah. And not only are they sort of like not only do they sort of like represent their sort of the poster child for all the bad quality shovelware, like the drop in quality that Steam has suffered from as they've sort of relaxed their quality control. They also represent like an anti-criticism sort of side of game development. So like any game developer or company that have sort of not released review copies or deleted Steam reviews or been really aggressive and shitty towards any kind of criticism, constructive or not, they just sort of they're sort of like the poster child for it because they did it themselves. And just like they're sort of like, it's so bad it's it's almost unbelievable, like, because the amount of self-awareness you have to lack in order to not only be that bad but defend yourself to such a degree, it's just staggering.
All right, anybody else?
Yeah, just real quick, I don't want to go on too much about this, but my number 1 hated thing for right now is Bethesda. Sorry, just had to do it.
I had
Fallout 76, an online Fallout. People wanted that. I wanted that. It was like a free kick from 1 meter away in an empty goal, and they fucking missed. I don't know how. There was a million ways how you could make that game work and you could make that game good. And they decided to ignore all of these ways and just fuck it up.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again on that topic, because if we spend too long on Bethesda, this will be like a 4-hour-long podcast.
Yeah, it's all I'm gonna say about this because I could rant for like 5 hours, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Well,
My thing is, oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry. I think the writing was on the wall for Bethesda because pretty much everything that's wrong with Fallout 76, it has also been wrong for previous games of theirs, like Skyrim. Well, no, like not all at the same time. Yeah. Like Skyrim has had the same bugs for however many re-releases it's had. Fallout 4 was basically a very simplified version of Fallout 3, and there was also problems with pre-order items there. Like the Pip-Boy was very plasticky and all that, and I think that all the problems in previous Bethesda games have just sort of all happened at the same time for Fallout 76, and somehow that's sort of been a complete slap around the face for everyone.
It's not even that. It's just a terrible mess of design choices that completely missed the point of what this game could have been. All the bugs and the bad choices from the past, I expected those. But my God, they didn't know what kind of game they were making here. They could have made like an amazing game, but now they're sitting in between like 3 genres and they don't know what they want to be, and they fucked everything up. I don't know how you can do that.
I think that's true for all the Bethesda-made Fallout games.
See, in a weird way, right? Bethesda already has a great proof of concept that this could work. This idea could work just fine. It's called Elder Scrolls Online.
Absolutely.
Why did they not get the devs who made that their own company? They own the ZeniMax Online Studios that made Elder Scrolls Online. It's not the engine. Like, yeah, all that could work.
As I said, I don't understand it. It just feels like they didn't care. They just wanted to put it out. They just didn't give a fuck.
And plus, they could have made this more like an MMO, like how Elder Scrolls Online is, where they have a subscription service with ESO Plus. They have, constant expansion. There's a lot of stuff always going on in ESO, and I've heard nothing but praise for ESO in the last couple of years.
They should have.
I've played it.
Absolutely
not great, but yeah, like, that's the thing that baffles my fucking mind. You have the guys who make ESO, a game that, when it first launched, had a couple of issues, but nowhere near. Like, even before they got rid of a subscription base and made it a buy to play model, nowhere near the same issues.
Yeah, they should have either made it an MMO or make it a real good PvP game or a real good survival game or a real good classic Fallout game. But they tried to mix everything together, and they didn't do any of those things correctly. It's sad.
Yeah. It's baffling. I mean, ESO has very positive reviews on Steam, which is weird for an Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
But yeah, I don't want to go on about that.
I think we got as much as we should say on that.
I had 2 companies. Did we talk about Valve ever?
No.
I just don't like them for the fact they've gone. They're just pocketing money by this point because they don't really have to sell games anymore since they own the most profitable PC market storefront. Yeah. PC storefront, and Ubisoft because they won't make a new Persia. I just want to melt, and they will turn Prince of Persia projects presented as a Prince of Persia pitch into Assassin's Creed and just keep pumping out Assassin's Creed.
Well, technically, that's what Assassin's Creed was when Prince of Persia sort of started getting a bit. When it went floppy.
The 2008 Prince of Persia was a fucking mistake.
They took the parkour and all that from the Prince of Persia games, and they turned it into Assassin's Creed.
It was more of what happened was that for Prince of Persia 2, Prince of Persia by Sands of Time 2, the one series by Ubisoft, they were originally going to do Assassin's Creed. It was going to be like Prince of Persia Assassins, but they decided, but that got shafted for a few years. While they decided to do their own series with Warrior Within and Two Thrones, but I thought 2008 Prince of Persia wasn't too bad. Like, its combat was kind of meh, but I thought it wasn't too bad. The reason why Persia died was mostly because Ubisoft decided to put so much money into it because they thought it would sell alongside Super Mario Galaxy 2 and Red Dead Redemption because the movie was coming out. They thought it would actually and decided to make like the Forgotten Sands on every single platform, and they weren't even sure what it was. Like, no one was like, it doesn't even, it fits into like the original, not the original, but like the Ubisoft canon.
Time, yeah.
And like Sands of Time between Sands of Time and Warrior Within, but still made no sense. And there were just like 5 other different versions, and it was kind of, oh my goodness, it was such a mess that it was consumer confusion and all that kind of crap.
Yeah, that sounds like a Ubisoft decision. I mean, look at Rainbow Six Siege, or look at the fact that they tried to push the Assassin's Creed movie at E3 of all places.
I will say one thing: the movie is not as bad as it could have been.
I just did not like the modern sections. It seems like that's the case with every Assassin's Creed to me. Yeah.
I mean, I never really held Assassin's Creed in particularly high esteem. I mean, I think that the parkour is very clunky, and the missions are bizarrely tangential to like most of the game mechanics. Like, you have a game that's all about running over rooftops and jumping on people to stab them, and most of your missions are
follow and escort.
Walk with someone while they're talking, or follow these 2 guards without being seen, or these really irritating stealth sections. And quite frankly, even the main game mechanics of Assassin's Creed, like the parkour, I always felt it was very clunky. Like, there are so many times where it's designed to have like a fluid 1-button stream of movement, and all of a sudden I'm just trying to run up a wall 7 times instead of actually running past it, or for some reason now I'm stuck on a windowsill. It just infuriated me, and that's why I think the only really good Assassin's Creed game is Assassin's Creed 4, because it has the most amount of gameplay that has nothing to do with Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, Black Flag. Black Flag is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's a shame they really haven't done anything with it. I know there's that new multiplayer game they're doing, which yeah.
I mean, to be fair, the Assassin's Creed multiplayer is actually quite good.
Oh yeah, I was talking about the Skull and Bones game, the one where they use like the ship combat.
Yeah, I am cautiously optimistic about that. Because I do think that it is the best part of the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Skull and Bones is like they just ripped out the boat mechanics and made an entirely new game with it. It's so weird.
Yeah, but they made like a weird only multiplayer game. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I want. It's just like versus multiplayer themes. Like, there's no open world stuff.
I do like AC multiplayer. I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but I do like the fact that they had the system where you don't know who's who that you have to assassinate. You got to go around, look at this picture. Maybe you'll get lucky. Maybe you'll hit the wrong person. Maybe you'll get hit with a gas grenade. It's really hectic. It's one of those hectic moments where you don't see that stuff in a lot of multiplayer games that often, unless it's a shooter or something. So I just like that whole assassinating mechanic that they had with that multiplayer. But Ubisoft is just I don't hate them. I don't love them. I have like a love-hate relationship with them, to be honest.
I love the Division.
Some things they do right, and it's like, oh, cool, I like that idea. And then some things they do wrong, and it's like, what are you guys doing? You guys are not giving Splinter Cell any love. Why do I have to play Ghost Recon to see Sam Fisher? I don't get it.
I'm really hoping they announce something at E3.
Yeah, I think the problem is that they're very formulaic with their games. They're very sandboxy and they're very sort of Ubisoft open world.
Not to mention sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, like, if Ubisoft are releasing a game, chances are, if you flip a coin, it'll it's an equal chance that it's going to be a Ubisoft open world game or something else, basically. And that's
chances
what
are
they
you
do
have to
nowadays.
climb on towers.
Yeah. I have to agree. Ubisoft really... it was going to be a discussion on this podcast about open world games, but Ubisoft really homes in the point that they really, if they rest on their laurels, it's going to be an open world game, and it's not going to be that great because, like I said, I just played Ghost Recon Wildlands for dumb fun, but I can honestly tell you that a linear game like Future Soldier was far better than a game with the open world where there's not much to do but just shoot a few people, fuck around, that's it. There's no depth to the world itself, unlike Red Dead. So if that's the case, then why would they spend time, resources, and money putting in open world if they're not going to be, really in depth or things of that nature? So it's just super weird. And I just hope that their games get better in the future, but I believe not. If they keep doing these weird choices, then it's going to be more of a love-hate relationship for me.
Yeah, I do think that with these sort of stagnating franchises and game styles that the big companies do, there is like a limit, like a bubble that will pop, and they'll wake up and figure out that they'll need to change, pick up their act, sort of thing. And I mean, the thing is, these sorts of bubbles are always bigger than you think they are. Like, it's always going to go on for far longer than you think, and of course there's the chance that when the bubble does burst, they're going to learn the wrong lessons from it.
That's true. I mean, look at EA. They are resting on their laurels with Star Wars, and they have not produced a product that is top tier quality, like something like KOTOR or the older LucasArts Star Wars games. It's like the series is just stagnating, and we lost good developers like Visceral Games because of it. So you don't want to be in that bubble where it's like you try to do something interesting and nothing ever comes out of it.
Yeah, LucasArts was actually a contender for my top 5 because they have made top 5 best because they have made some of my favorite games.
Too bad they're dead.
Yeah.
Hey,
exactly.
I mean, even if they're dead, they can be mentioned.
I have other developers.
If I were to, it's a good tangent because if I were to mention developers that were great, even if they're dead now, then I would say Visceral is pretty good. I mean, they made fucking a lot of good James Bond games. They made Dead Space. They also made what is that other game? Dante's Inferno, and I heard that was pretty decent.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Shit marketing, but fun game.
Yeah, I think it was
really shit marketing.
Right, yeah. The whole fake protests that they paid for.
I mean, at the same time, Dead Space 2 kind of had that a little bit with the whole moms hate the game thing, and I thought that was super weird. It's like, what's the point of it?
I got a couple chuckles out of it. But...
It is funny, don't get me wrong, but still, it's like, what's the point of it when you really think about it? So,
let's face it, if someone's going to be convinced to buy Dead Space because their mom doesn't like it, they're probably too young to play it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But since we're on good, I guess I can mention one real quick I want to get off the list, and that is Capcom. I think
I had that there too.
Yep, I think Capcom has been doing pretty well recently with remastering a lot of games that we haven't seen like in a while, like Onimusha. DMC5 is looking great. Resident Evil 2 is looking great. So they really this is the definition of doing a complete change around, because at first they were just terrible, like on this DLC, releasing games that people really are iffy about. Fucking all the stuff that happened with DMC with the bad PR. I'm talking about the reboot, by the way. Yeah. So they definitely changed it around for the better, in my opinion.
I actually do like some of Capcom's Dark Ages. They weren't the best, but they still were pumping out a good game every once in a while.
Like during that time, you had your RE5, and I thought
that RE5, but that's more of a public thing, I get it.
Yeah, and they also had, like, I thought Dead Rising 2 was great, even though that was like on the cusp of Inafune pushing the whole everything's got to be done with the Western audience and we got to outsource our projects. So that was like in the middle, and it was a couple of good games, but then you had shit like Dark Void 3. Yeah, Dead Rising 3 was fantastic, but you had shit like Dark Void 2 and all that crap. So,
but you also had every once in a while you'll get a You also had Strider, which was fucking great.
Strider was great, yeah. I wouldn't say the outsourcing was 100% all bad, but it was more misses than hits, in my opinion. Yeah. So, anyone else want to sort of elaborate on Capcom or nah?
Nah.
All right,
I don't really have enough experience with them to have much of an opinion.
They make good games. I would say check out their history or catalog, see if you find anything you like. I really love RE2 Remake and DMC. I can't wait to get those games next year. But in terms of my last for the best, before I let everyone else go real quick, I'm just gonna quick fire THQ Nordic. I believe they're doing a great job with bringing back all these IPs. There is the mystery of seeing what they do with them, because obviously you mentioned big names like Time Splitter. You want to see some results.
I want to see some Battle for Bikini Bottom HD, my dude.
Oh god, SpongeBob. But yeah, THQ. I mean, I even want to see them go back and make wrestling games again in some format, even without the WWE license, because they really, treated that franchise with love and care. So as long as they just keep to this notion of making great, titles with these IPs that they have, I will be all for seeing what they do next. I heard Darksiders 3 is getting some pretty decent reception from the community.
I heard it was just okay.
Yeah, the community is liking it more than the actual press. Yeah, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
for me, having played it, it's okay.
It could be bad, which would be worse on their behalf, because it's like, hey, new studio that's reforming put out a terrible game. So okay is decent, I'll take that. I probably won't get it at $60 though. If that's the case, maybe like 40. That seems good to me.
I say 40 is a good deal.
I don't really care for Darksiders, but it's
see, that's my response when someone mentions Sonic in this present generation.
Yeah. No, that's honestly, that's completely fine considering they're fucking. But
yeah, they make more games like Mania Sega. That's all I ask for. So anyone else want to rapid fire their best?
Oh, I think I put SNK on mine just because of their recent outings, even though they're well. Then again, Heroes isn't the best, but I'm happy they're bringing back Samurai. They're bringing back
Showdown.
Yeah, it's Samurai Showdown. They're bringing back Samurai Showdown, which I'm happy about. KOF 14 was a solid title, and the DLC for it was pretty well done. They brought back people asked for fan favorite characters, and they're like, yeah, here are your favorite characters, and they brought all of them back. And you had a total of 58 or 60 fighters, if I'm not aware. And KOF 14, which was surprised the hell out of me. Mm-hmm. So that was fun.
Any more for your good, or you're done?
I think I was done for that.
Anyone else?
I still have my top 4 best.
Yeah, rapid fire those.
If you want to speed run them. All right.
Yep.
All right. Here we go. Number 4 is Newgrounds as a publisher.
Wait, what?
Newgrounds.
Hold on.
Flash game site.
Oh yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, they created an amazing platform for not only game developers and animators, but they also are what gave Behemoth Games its start, and we got really great games from them, such as like Alien Hominid and Castle Crashers, which I really appreciate.
What was it?
I mean,
Outlaw Theater, which I fucking enjoyed.
Oh yes, of course. That's Newgrounds, but basically like an amazing free platform for game developers to get their start. My third is Double Fine Games. I know they're not perfect, but I just appreciate the way that the way that they develop games is basically an auteur version of game development. Like, you can tell that it's a Tim Schafer game. They have like the Tim Schafer style. It's like a famous movie director or something like that, like a Martin Scorsese movie or you know, a Quentin Tarantino movie. You can tell that a game is made by Tim Schafer, and of course Psychonauts is an absolutely amazing game that I love. And in the same vein, my number 2 is Platinum Games. You can sort of a very auteur again game developer like Hideki Kamiya. He is a really like just amazing game developer, and like the games he's made are just so batshit crazy and fun.
He also blocked probably 1,000 people on Twitter too. I was just throwing that out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, auteurs are all a bit crazy. I mean, you don't really you're not going to be making Bayonetta if you're completely 100% sane.
Yeah, but I agree with that, but I'm always kind of indifferent on Platinum because I feel as though they have great potential if they actually had publishers that gave a shit, because Activision truly did not, when they keep, you know, putting them on like very strict deadlines, and they produce stuff like TMT, you know, Mutants in Manhattan, and it's just so bad.
Yeah, I think it's more that you can tell when it's not a game that they wanted to make. Like with TMNT or Legend of Korra or something like that, you can tell that it's a licensed game. It was a job for them. Whereas if you're playing something like Bayonetta 1 or 2 or The Wonderful 101, then you can tell that it's... Yeah, then you can tell that it's a game they wanted to make, because you can just sense the passion behind it.
Yep.
Which, of course, segueing into my number 1 favorite game developer of all time, and if you know me from the previous time I was on this podcast, you might have already you might remember me talking about them last time. Digital Extremes. And I know I'm very biased because I am an absolute fanboy of Warframe, but I just you know, I love their game and pretty much everything about it. Like the thing is, there are so many things that you wouldn't expect them to get right that they got right. Like name like a bad practice in video games, like free to play microtransactions, games as a service. They do that with Warframe, but they do it well. They do it so that it doesn't feel intrusive or exploitative. And you can tell that they just really enjoy what they're doing, and they're really interactive with the community. They're genuinely a part of it. And just what they've done over like the past 5 years is create this absolutely massive, completely bizarre game that I think is just so incredibly unique. I just couldn't have anyone else as my favorite developer, because it's probably my favorite game.
Same. I
Ever,
played Warframe.
really.
I played it for like a few minutes. I thought it was really good. It was a lot of patches at the time, so I didn't have the chance to play the game again as updated build, but that's something we might do for the channel, all things considered, because I want to play it again.
You should give it a shot. It is pretty good.
I mean, there are problems with it, obviously. I mean, the new user experience is absolutely garbage. I mean, the only way I managed to get over the hump of not having a clue where I was the wiki. I mean, if you don't have that, then you are going to be completely lost, and you might be drawn to some of the flashier aspects, like the 2 big open world maps that got released over the past year or so. But there's like thousands of hours of gameplay like outside of that, and there's probably a lot more that you need to do before then, which is sort of a bit can confuse people, seeing as how you can access so many things very early on in the game that you're probably not ready for. Like, it's a very open-ended sort of game, I suppose, in a sort of way. It's a Metroidvania style of progression, where you can technically play things that you are absolutely not ready for and get absolutely wrecked. But at the end of the day, when you really know what you're doing and you've got the right levels and right weapons and right characters that you're playing as, you just become this unstoppable killing machine. And just like the concept of magic robot space ninjas in the future, just I don't understand how you could come up with a better concept for a game than that.
All right, but we gotta move on to our final good list, because we're running out of time. So Shadow, you want to go real quick?
Yes, I have 2 more and an honorable mentions. I'll be quick. Number 2 is Skybox Labs and / Forgotten Empires. They're 2 developers, but they're working on the same game. That's why I have them on here. And that's Age of Empires 2 HD Edition and all its add-ons. And I like them a lot because they brought back childhood for me, and they still release 3 DLCs, and good DLCs, in fact, for a almost 20-year-old game, which is mind-boggling to me. And they still I think they still update it or patch it because, you know, there's some imbalances and whatnot. And I really have to say that's a good way to do it, and I love them for it. I still play Age of Empires every once in a while. It's just childhood. It's amazing. And the number 1 right now for me is Larian Studios, the developer of the Divinity Original Sin 2, well, of the whole Divinity series. And I don't know if any of you have played Divinity Original Sin 2, but that is one of the most amazing games I've ever played.
I've heard of it from Reapers, but I've never seen gameplay of it.
It's such a massive, wonderful RPG with so much content. I think I'm like 38 hours in right now, and I'm probably not even half through it. And then they gave a free update basically this year, I think it was, the redefined edition, which apparently has so many changes in it that you cannot use your old save games for it. So after I'm through with the normal game, I have to start it again and rediscover all the new stuff they put in for free, which is amazing. I absolutely love that shit. And honorable mentions, because you mentioned about developers that have gone, that are not existing anymore, is Surtech, which developers of Jagged Alliance 2, which I think is like the daddy of all XCOM style games, in my opinion. And one of the greatest things they have done is when they released their the last add-on or last expansion for that game, they released the source code and basically said, "Hey, modders, have fun with that." And to that day, today, they're still developing mods for that game. That game is, I think it was released in, what was that, 1990 something? And they're still developing mods because they got the source code and everything. It's amazing. More developers should do that. If they see that, a game is not selling anymore, or if they're going out of business, just give people, the resources to play with it and make it, live on as a legacy, so to speak.
God, just imagine it. If we actually went on a tangent about game developers that close, we would be here for another hour.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's why I just wanted it as an honorable mention.
Yeah, I would definitely say something about Capcom Vancouver, but The Last Dead Rising was not that stellar, so I can kind of see why.
What was it? There's The Last Dead Rising? I thought only 3 existed.
Yeah, you're right about that. Dead Rising 3 is the only Dead Rising game that came out. Also, if I had to do an honorable mention just really quickly, Criterion Games, fantastic studio. Just Burnout. You had, I think they did Black, if I'm not too mistaken.
They did.
Yeah, just fantastic. I think they had a lot of potential. Also, Pandemic as well, because they did, didn't they do Mercenaries, I believe?
They did, which, quick shout out, will be free on Xbox later this month, I believe.
Also, Destroy All Humans. That game was amazing when I played it the first time. But if anyone...
Bye-bye Pandemic.
Yeah, that sucks. But if anyone has any final good game studios, if not, I guess we're done.
Huh?
I guess we can go to outros now. So, Bane, lead us off the show, please.
Alright, I've been Bane for you. You can find me on YouTube at Fuzhou, F-U-Z-H-O-U. Twitter, you can find me at Bane for you, FYU, and then in the bio, there's another game you can click on there. Alright, so Sonic. Sonic.
Anthony? Well, I guess he went to his hedgehog nest to gather rings and other assortments of emeralds, so...
We'll come back to him in a minute here.
Okay.
Technical difficulties. Suicidal Llama, where can we find you at?
You can find me streaming on Twitch under Bamalama Ding Dong, and you can follow me on Twitter at SnozzTwaddle. I don't really play anything in particular, just whatever really takes my fancy. But of course, if you want to yell at me on Twitter about what you want me to play, or come watch me, I don't know, speak utter nonsense very similar to what I've been doing this entire podcast.
So who's next? I guess it's gonna be Shadow.
All right, you can find me on various social media sites, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, whatever, as Shadow1990CH, and I do weekly VR videos with new and exciting VR games and other Let's Plays, which I just, games I just like to play. So yeah, check it out.
And of course, Renegade, where can we find you at?
No, I thought you were going to say last but not least, Sonic Kick.
Oh, well, I've got to go back around to him.
I'm going to say, Tony, wake the fuck up. No, I'm kidding.
Press that on his keyboard with his umbrella around his ankles.
Yeah. if he's passed out, you can find him on Twitter at SonicKick_. I believe that's what it is.
No, actually, it's Sonic Kick 2. I kind of passed out, but I was falling asleep. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
This is what being in school all day gets you.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at RentOperative_. You can find me on YouTube at Renegade Operative. Obviously, you can find me on the Infinite Ammo Syndicate as well, doing stuff with these guys. I think the next major event is just going to be bullshitting about the Game Awards because that's coming up. So everyone wants to watch it. I know, just reminding people once again, so it's not weird on the live streams, if I cut out commercials, that's to save the video, because the last time that I did the Game Awards, every time there was a commercial, they always would flag the video. So there's not going to be any commercials this year. I'm going to block it out, and everything will resume as normal, hopefully.
Have you tried just muting the video and like putting like an IAS template picture on it, image on it, like just put the logo or whatever?
Yeah, I probably might
just do that in live stream. That's probably the best thing.
Just gonna be real simple, because last year that was kind of annoying, so I'm just letting people know. But it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna try to get Dom to do another call if he can, and we'll be multi-streaming that, so it's gonna be plenty of fun. So this is the Infinite Ammo Syndicate signing off on top 5 best and worst. Well, we might as well not even call it 5 because there was a lot of mentions there.
Yeah. Top best and worst. How about that? Just
top best. Top best and worst game developers and publishers, and also mentioning dead developers because we did that too. So we will see you guys next time, of course, and we're signing out later.
Bye bye.
Peace.